I see the co-conspirators' fingerprints over that video, and I will find you. And there will be a day of reckoning. Man, are those screens big, huh? It's great of you to be here this evening, and I really can't tell you how pleased I am and honored to have Senator Jim DeMint present to make the award, and to have George Lovejoy, who's a mentor of mine, be here, the last honoree that you all had for Americans for Prosperity. And Senator DeMint, I understand this is your first trip as an elected official to New Hampshire. He was here before as a businessman, and let's hope you come back often again to New Hampshire, Senator. Secondly, I think we're going to be able to show this evening to the Senator that the motto, live free or die, is etched into the hearts and souls of Americans and New Hampshireites throughout this evening and throughout this campaign. Live free or die is our motto. And then lastly, Senator, I know you know that New Hampshire did you a great favor and did the conservative cause a great favor by sending Kelly out to the United States Senate. And we're grateful to your comments about her. I'm grateful for my family and friends who've come here this evening. And those of you who know me know that I know why you're here. And that is because you want to celebrate the true conservative of the year, and that's Betty LaMontagne. To know Betty is to know what the heart of a conservative truly is. And I'm inspired by her every day of my life, and I love her, and will forever. I know Tim Phillips is here, he's the National President of Americans for Prosperity. Where are you, Tim? Can you wave so we can see you? Somewhere in here. Well, I have a couple comments for Tim. First of all, Tim, you have assembled a wonderful staff here in New Hampshire. Americans for Prosperity New Hampshire played a pivotal role in the 2010 election cycle. And I'm here to report to you, there he is, Tim Phillips. Give him a round of applause. As a New Hampshire citizen, not an office holder, as an activist, I'm pleased to report to you, sir, that under the fine leadership of Tom Thompson, the capable skills of Corey Lewandowski, New Hampshire saw the strongest swing from being a deep blue state to a bright red state, and that's the color of New Hampshire. We are starting to see the transformation, the true transformation and reformation of New Hampshire under the capable leadership of Speaker Bill O'Brien, Majority Leader D.J. Betancourt, Senate President Peter Bragdon, and Majority Leader Senator Bradley. Give them a round of applause for what they're doing. Now we have a confession to make, Mr. Phillips. We left a little unfinished business in 2010, and that's the office of governor. That office remains in Democrat hands. Well, I know the people in this room, we're going to have a conversation about who the next governor of New Hampshire should be. And that next governor should be a conservative Republican. We're going to have that conversation, are we? That conversation, and God willing, I will be playing a part in that conversation with you. Now, Tim, in addition to what you've done in the 2010 cycle here with a lot of great conservatives, newcomers to our cause, I can say to you that by inviting Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann, businessman Herman Cain, governors Tim Pawlenty, Mitt Romney, and former Senator Santorum to this great room, You are kicking off the New Hampshire primary right here, right now, because our mission is to make sure Barack Obama is not re-elected President of these United States. About what the popular media says. We have excellent national leaders and these fine Republicans, conservatives. There are others who are not here this evening who are going to join us. But New Hampshire is going to prove again, with your help, Tim, and with the organizations and the other grassroots activists around the state, that we're going to look to identify conservative candidates who can win, and it has to be about winning in 2012. And we're going to be part of that conversation, too. I want to talk a little seriously with you for a few minutes while you're having some dinner. Hopefully some of you are getting your dinner. Let me state the obvious first. Our nation is in crisis. It's in a fiscal, national security, and a moral crisis. And conservative Republicans feel an urgent need and calling to respond to that crisis. And that's why we're here. We cannot sustain what is happening in Washington or in our states. Unbridled spending, the deficits and debt. We're passing on to future generations a debt they can't afford to pay for. They shouldn't be asked to pay for it. A government that's out of control, and a country that is not worthy of them, or for that matter, our ancestors. There is a crisis. This is the most important presidential election in our lifetime if we hope to save our great republic. And conservatives feel the urgency, which is why I say, get the primary started here in New Hampshire. I want to do a little history with you. Think about this. 50 years ago, this year, our newly elected president during his inauguration defined for the country once again the revolutionary principles upon which we are based and upon which we were under assault then and we are now. And that is the revolutionary principle that the rights of man come not from the generosity of the state, but from the hand of God. Yes. That president was invoking the core principles of the Declaration of Independence, which are embedded in our system. That we are endowed by our Creator with unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that government has only that power which we give it. Which is why I say, we are the sovereign in America. We are king. We give government its power, and government should serve us, not rule us. That president 50 years ago also exhorted the people to ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. That president went on to lead the battle for tax cuts, national security, and that president was John F. Kennedy. How far have we come in 50 years? He said we would put a man on the moon at the end of the decade, and we did. And at that time, we did not have a U.S. Department of Education, and frankly, we don't need one. At that time, we did not have Medicare. Now, I would say, now that we've made the commitment, we've got to find a different way to fund it. But that's not by putting tax collectors between you and your doctor or in the operating rooms of our hospitals. The federal government has no role in health care either when it comes to administering that service. Lastly, the federal government was not in our corporate boardrooms, in our places of business like it is today. There was no Sarbanes-Oxley. And yet America was enjoying a robust economy, freedom and liberty. And what has happened to us in those 50 years? What has happened to us? Well, this is where you and I need to have a conversation in the presence of these candidates, the citizens, one-to-one. What happened in those 50 years? We let our guard down, didn't we? We were not vigilant, were we? No. We did not fight government and keep it in check, did we? No. Are we ready to do it now for the sake of our children and grandchildren? Yes. Good. That has to be what we do. For 50 years we've sat back and believed that bigger is better, that the Washington bureaucrats know better. And you know what? We know they don't. And being conservative means not some ideology, not some theory. As Ronald Reagan says, it means life experiences. We know it works. Government at the local level. Empowered teachers and families working with kids. Not a Washington bureaucrat trying to run our educational system. We know what works in America. And if we don't get back to what works in America, we are going to lose this country for our children and our grandchildren. And that is immoral, and it's a crime. And we won't put up with it, will we? It went a little longer than I expected, but I do want to share this story with you because a lot of people ask me, Ovide, how did you get to be so conservative? And I say, first of all, I believe this stuff, okay? I believe this stuff. I believe in people. I believe in local government. I believe in working with other people. And government is a place of last resort. Government is a stagehand on the play, not the principal actor. A government is the referee on the field, not the quarterback of the team. It's time to get Uncle Sam off the field and off the stage. It's time to empower the states and the people of this country. Amen. You become conservative by looking at the people you love and role models. And I've been blessed to have many. But no role model is probably greater than my grandfather. His name was Alfred Brisson. My grandfather was born in Manchester, the oldest of 13 kids. He lived in one of those triple-deckers, picked up coal along the railroad cars, their tracks, and helped his family raise those other children. With an 8th grade education, he went to work in Manchester's mills. And he made a commitment to himself that he would not get married until he saved enough money to build a house. And he did. My grandfather worked 40 years in the mills, and when he was pretty much done working there, he took a part-time job as a janitor at St. Anthony Elementary School, where I was a student. And I was a kid in school, and I'd watch my grandfather come in towards the end of the day to clean our bathrooms. I watched that man of great dignity and humility come to the school, do that work, sometimes get chided by the big kids in the school, which I wanted to rap, but I couldn't. The sisters would have rapped me a lot more. But I watched that man work. And I remember one day, sitting in his living room, our family was visiting my grandparents, and my grandfather was sitting in his favorite rocking chair listening to the Red Sox on the radio. And these were the Red Sox that never won a World Series. He never saw them win a World Series, but he was a faithful fan. And I said to him, Pepe, you have a driveway, but you don't have a car. And my grandfather looked at me and he leaned forward and he said, Ovide, I don't have a driver's license either. Because I can't afford a car. But all of my kids went to college. And I have that driveway, so when your family comes to visit, your father has a place to park his car. That is a conservative. You should know that my grandfather, Alfred Brisson, was a lifelong Democrat, but the most conservative man I think I've ever known in my life. He never asked a penny for government. He lived a long life, and he died with the sure and certain knowledge that he had left the world in a better place for his children, and he knew that about his grandchildren. That is what we owe our children and our grandchildren. Every generation is called to make great sacrifices for the country, for themselves, but for the next generation. Our calling today, this year, and for years to come is to restore the American dream to our children and grandchildren. Let it be our cause. Let's not give up. God bless you. God bless the state of New Hampshire. God bless America. Thank you.